All right. Welcome to Gen X Rated Tuesday edition. How we doing, Billy?
Uh, a little bit of a letdown after the long holiday weekend, and yesterday was a really good day. And, I went to bed with a strange feeling last night. It was a feeling of hope. And then I woke up this morning and that son of a bitch is still alive. And it's like, what the hell?
You knew
Very disappointing, giant letdown.
you knew he would be, though. I mean, that's tough news to hide forever, but I still don't think he's well.
Oh, he's far from well. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the best stuff. He's got the best medicine. Shit we can't even imagine he has. So to roll him out there, pump him up, and make him feel like an Adonis. I mean, you know how it feels on prednisone. You think you're 10 feet tall and bulletproof. So he's having his moment, but you can only have so many of those moments.
Yeah, so let's hope they get fewer and further between. And yeah, it was disappointing, but what are you going to do? That's life in the Trump era.
It's true, and it's going on a decade plus, which is really the saddest part. Um, it's weird because, to your point, I felt like there maybe it wasn't all about hope, but it was like I didn't have to see him, I didn't have to hear him.
Hmm.
I really felt like we were getting that gap away from the gaslighting, the blatant lies, the exaggerations, best ever, most amazing in history, all that stuff. Granted, he was on Truth Social talking about Giuliani receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Uh,
Interesting story behind that, I'm sure. Uh,
hmm.
he questioned the accuracy of um, vaccine data. He talked about zero crime in DC now, thanks to him. And then the one sided relationship with India. So he had these things to mention, but you can scroll through those things. You can avoid it. You're not hearing it, seeing it. And I really enjoyed that part. Plus, it was probably Stephen Miller anyway, right?
Yeah.
So to see him and then to see the crowd behind him, he can't really go out there by himself anymore. So I think he had 8 people with him today. I called them all tens. Uh, you're 10. I don't even know what he's talking about.
I don't know.
But the point is, him being back and having to see that face and having to listen to somebody lie to you directly, it was a little disappointing.
It
He's back,
was.
baby.
It was. And again, it just goes to show, you just can't trust Twitter that much.
It goes to show what. I'm sorry, you cut out.
You just can't trust Twitter that much. I
Oh,
mean,
for sure.
it looked like things were amping up that he was maybe on death's doorstep, and then it's just like, just another day.
Yeah, well, you should have known when you saw those ads for Starlink that X is just a cesspool of nonsense. Generally, it is.
Oh yeah.
All sorts of opinions, and who cares, right? It's all pretty much garbage anyway. Um,
Mhm.
and then just to circle back on the whole Giuliani thing, here's a guy at 9 o'clock at night who's driving in a Bronco with his driver. They see a person waving them over on the street, suffering from domestic violence. They pull over and call 911 and help her. I mean, this story just sounds so manufactured and ridiculous. Um,
It
then when
really
they
does.
left, then when they left, somebody ran into their car. A 19-year-old girl plowed into him. So he had like a thoracic vertebrae fracture, and the toughest mayor ever. He's going to be fine. Um, no charges against the 19-year-old that ran into him, which only leads me to believe like it wasn't as clear cut as him stopping to help someone. Which that time of night, I'm sure he's half in the bag to begin with, and then if somebody plowed into you, maybe you pulled out onto a highway. It was Highway 93, I believe, in New Hampshire. And maybe just because you were hit in the rear doesn't mean it's their fault. Uh,
Hmm.
he would sue anybody and everybody. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Four
Well,
Seasons catering, Four Seasons lawn care. It doesn't matter.
I think you were pretty spot on in what you suggested that he was stopping to try and pick up a prostitute.
Did I say that?
Allegedly.
Anything's possible. I mean, all the photos of him were him on the bed trying to unzip his pants. So
Yeah, he's pretty well known for that. So who's to say?
Would certainly not be the first time. Um, on a happier note, yesterday we did. There were several rallies around the country. I know we didn't see a whole lot of national news on it. We did see local news on it, and we did actually see people come out for it,
Hmm.
which was pretty impressive. It seems like the organizers are getting better and better as far as giving you a time and a place, and then setting up the acoustics, and then actually having speakers. We had local representatives. We had from the Congress, but we also had local representatives from the local unions, etc.
Hmm.
So it was a nice mixed crowd. I mean, I didn't see a ton of youth there necessarily, but again, they covered veterans, they covered research, they covered healthcare, jobs, wealth inequality. Everybody had a place at the table. It was nice.
Yeah, I mean, these are things that we can all agree on, and this is. I hope the Democrats are actually getting this message through their thick skulls because this is what is going to work. It's not about um, a purity test where you have to agree on everything and you can't say the R word. We're way past that. It's all about, like you were saying. I mean, it's about a living wage. It's about healthcare. It's about jobs. It's about civil liberties. It's about a woman's right to choose. Things we can all agree on. And we saw that when AOC and Bernie were doing their rallies. You had huge crowds, and they weren't all Democrats. They were people of all ages. They were people of all backgrounds, libertarians. I'm sure some Republicans. I mean, people that have figured out that we can agree on something, and you're seeing it in New York City with the mayoral race,
Yeah. Well, and
which
go ahead.
it's a message that sells, and it scares the shit out of the Democratic leadership, the ones that they court the billionaires because they're terrified of this because this is the stuff that works. In New York City, it's rent control. It's, being able to afford to live in that city. And, they are terrified. They do not want that. But the voters do, the people that actually matter in this equation, they do. So I do hope the Democratic leadership is paying attention.
Well, you talk about that as if they have the only say. Now that they have the only say at the top of the ticket, but anybody that's going to come out, Trump's big threat is about primarying somebody.
Hmm.
We're going to primary you. Do it. The Democrats are. I feel the Democratic Party is different in the regard that it's not going to come from the establishment who I vote for on my local level here. Uh, the people that come out that are going to give you something that are actually can agree on half the things we talk about are better than somebody I can't agree with at all. And
Yeah.
baby steps. But I guess my point is that we can still primary Democratic people that have been in office as well. So to say, hey, they're going to control who gets elected or who gets to run, I think we're going to have a lot more say in that. And the independents are falling right in the middle, which is obviously they're independent, but nobody's leaning right now. You just can't. And we saw that
How
yesterday.
can you? I mean, this is a shit show. The damage that has been done since January, since these
Oh my
fools took over, it's amazing. I mean, uh, you're seeing India and China and Russia buddying up.
Yeah.
You
North
know,
Korea showed up today for the big parade, uh, Kim Jong. So they're really putting it in Trump's face. Not only that, but as they're having discussions over there, they know he's listening, or at least his powers that be are listening. It's not
mhm.
good acoustics. It puts us on the wrong side of pretty much everything. And we're still following this old man down the path to 1952.
Yeah. Well, and he's got to be totally jealous seeing that, Modi and and Putin are riding together in the car and looking pretty happy. Couple of buddies.
Give him 2 weeks. Maybe he'll poison him too. We don't know.
No, I think he actually likes him.
Well, he said he liked Trump too.
Putin says a lot of things.
Yeah, good
I wouldn't
point.
trust any of them.
To the point of yesterday, there were union speakers, there were union representatives there with clipboards trying to get people registered or at least engaged. The biggest message from yesterday was, "Hey, it's great that you're here. We can all smile and applaud to the things that we're saying, but it's
Mhm.
time for the next step. You need to talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors, get out and be vocal about this, and really." Spread actual sources that are correct in that you're not getting misinformation constantly, and you don't have to agree with it. Not everything's lollipops and butter, so to speak. But give me the reality, and I'll deal with it, and we'll make change to make it better. But we saw the amount of people that came out yesterday. There were church groups there, all kinds of ethnicities, all kinds of race. It was pretty awesome.
It was, yeah, it was really good. It was a really good turnout, and we finally had a nice day for it,
Yeah, that
which
was really
was
nice
which
too.
was super.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, it's just about let's find these things that we can all agree on, and let's just stick to that. Let's hammer these things home, and like they were saying, let's do like John Lewis said. It's time to make some good trouble. We can't just attend a rally and pat ourselves on the back and feel great about it because we did something, because you know
it's
it,
not-
it's not that tangible. It needs to be, the pressure needs to stay on, and we need to keep it up and get fully engaged and keep spreading the word.
and to that point, they took the rally from the park, and then they marched down to Sterling Bank, which is owned by a billionaire that treats his janitors like shit. They
Hmm.
had actual speakers talking about the policy within this building. This billionaire can't take care of the lowest denominator in that building, which takes care of everybody. You like clean floors? You like not stepping in, whatever?
Yeah.
Take care of those guys. They're the ones that are taking care of you. And again, to the point, Trump's such a fan of the workers. I heard KK Caroline, his whole agenda is about making things better for the
Oh
workers.
yeah, that whole tweet was just, how do you keep a straight face
As
spewing that
gutting,
out?
he's gutting minimum wage protections for millions. He no longer requires companies to pay disabled workers at least the federal minimum wage, which is 7.25. Seems horrible that you would not take care of these people because they're not doing 100% of the job, so we don't pay them.
Jesus, maybe Trump should take a pay cut then, because he certainly doesn't seem 100%. I mean, how much of this is Stephen Miller doing, and Trump's just either sitting there drooling, sleeping, eating, and farting, or just who knows what the fuck that guy does.
Good point. Again, he's looking to really harm the people that actually get things done. Eliminating federal minimum wage protection for children or for child care, as well as home care providers. I mean, anybody that's had an older parent that's struggled, uh, that's a lifeline to be able to, I can continue to work while I have somebody come in and do home care health, which
Hmm.
isn't cheap. So that's 7.25. I don't know if that's going to cover it. I want to put up this one graphic, and this is 2025 federal minimum wage under the poverty line for households. Poverty line for 4 people in a household is $32,000. You can see minimum wage for a full-time worker gets you about $15,000. The poverty line for a
Man.
one-person households $15,650. I don't know how you can pay your rent, pay your health care, and have anything left over to actually eat, clothe yourself. Forget entertainment. You don't get that this year. But the numbers are just so skewed when you have people making billions of dollars and not paying taxes. It's just abominable to me.
It is. Yeah, it is. It really is. It's maddening.
It is maddening, and I can see why people are getting pissed about all the above.
Hmm.
Why wouldn't you? Again, the quiet that we didn't have to listen to this guy really was a perk to the weekend.
Oh, it was great. Yeah.
It was great. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But he's back, baby. So
Ugh.
we'll see how it goes. The fight continues, as you can see from this visual. Yeah. Well,
That staged photo up. Yeah. Jesus Christ. What a steaming pile of shit that was.
oh my God. And they talked to the firefighter who lost his life at the rally in Butler. His wife said that she spoke with, I think it was Hegseth. They did everything right. Single shooter, everything was done right, and they'll come out with more about that in 2 weeks. So that'll be pretty interesting. I mean, we knew more about the shooter in Minnesota recently.
Hmm.
Within 25 minutes than we know about the kid in Butler at all, who actually attempted to kill a president.
Yeah. I mean, what we do know is that they saw him up there and they were ready to take him out. And wait, hold on. I mean, the ladder that he used to climb up on that roof was still there. The ladder was propped up. I mean, that thing is just as fake as a $2 Rolex. I
Well,
mean,
and the people that were yammering about him climbing up on the roof were all red hats. These were all MAGA faithful, and they were concerned about their dear leader, and they kept pointing it out. The local authorities were kind of brushed off.
mhm.
At the end of the day, they were pissed because it made them look stupid.
Yeah,
Uh,
it did.
that they couldn't protect in this small county of Butler. But hey, there was a purpose to it. The guy was drowning. He was a giant failure on the campaign trail, and they needed some kind of fake something or other. And that's what we got, boy.
Well, he had disappeared for a few days before that too, while they were just, dry running this whole thing and rehearsing, and they still did a shitty job.
Yeah, it was about 5 days of practice. Um, yeah, but it's just amazing because when you look at video from other angles, and we've already discussed this before, but you can see his press corps, or his press person bringing the photographers over. You can see
Mhm.
the string as they're bringing the flag down to get the perfect shot. Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Yeah.
As you're hearing this guy talk about getting his lifts back on, and are you ready to do this? And fist bump. I mean, come on, man, crazy.
Yeah, it's just it's so it's so junior varsity, so below the line. It's ridiculous. That's
I,
pathetic.
I missed out on this one. I thought this was a classic, but this is the guy that pulls over at 9 o'clock at night to rescue a damsel in distress.
Right, to rescue a damsel in distress, to fucking bite her neck and feed on her because you're a Nosferatu the vampire. Jesus, look at that guy.
He's a beaut. When did people? I don't know. You used to age out, and you didn't have to look at this stuff anymore. But this guy, with the Medal of Freedom, it's we're never going to hear the end of this guy. I'm sure. Crazy.
Well, at some point he will go the way of all the other aging creatures of the night. They just crumble into a pile of dust.
All right. Well, I'm going to wait for that, and
Mm,
hopefully that'll happen. You promised, so we'll see.
yeah, we're all waiting.
I want to jump back to the National Guard because obviously they're super important and kind of militarizing everything. Where are the guard? Oh, we might as well start off with Heggie. This guy. I mean, he's in control of all this, which is even worse.
Yeah, that's horrifying.
But Trump violated federal law by sending troops to accompany federal agents on immigration raids, which we were well aware of in LA.
Mhm.
The GOP argued that the Posse Comitatus Act doesn't apply to troops if they're protecting federal officers and not law enforcement. We pretty much saw the mix going on of, how can you decipher who they're protecting? Then they went the extra step of allowing these guardsmen to be armed and ready to get it going. If you see fit, any threat, shoot first. We'll talk about that later. That seems kind of messed up. But you put them
Mhm.
on the ground, bad things are generally going to happen. In this instance, though, we were pretty fortunate because when he put them in DC, those guys are doing lawn care.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Um, props to them. They're not just sitting there doing nothing. I know I have a photo of this. But the cost is what gets me. Oh, here they are. And again, I mean no disrespect to these guys at all, but do they really need to be doing this? It just seems kind of crazy that this is what they do. Now the cost of that for in DC anyway, the guard were able to clean 3.2 miles a day. The cost was about $1 million a day. Now,
Jeez.
as we talked about, the National Park Service, they generally take care of these parks. They were
Mhm.
all fired because get a real job, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
You tree
anyway,
hugger.
so the DC cleaning crews cover about 81 miles a day. That's a little bit more than 3.2 miles a day, and the cost is about 150,000 a day, not a million. You're employing a lot more people to do it, and the system worked until these guys came in and really messed things up.
Oh yeah. And yeah, again, I mean, these are not professional soldiers. These are people that you know, that you work with, that you're friends with. They have families, they have lives, they've got jobs. And you're taking them away from all that for this photo op, for this, power play that you're making that is highly illegal anyway. And now you're doubly screwing them over with the duration of their deployment.
29 days instead of 30, so they don't get paid for housing.
Mm-hmm.
But the real test will be after these 29 days when he pulls them in, if he puts them back out again at 29 days. That's really offensive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, again, these are people that, they're putting their lives on hold.
Absolutely.
When they do it, they come out for national disasters or natural disasters. They come out when there's, when something's gone horribly wrong and they're needed. I liken them to being like civilian soldiers.
For sure.
And it's a slap in the face to them, first of all, and it's a massive abuse.
For sure. Well, especially putting him into a different state altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Your National Guardsmen here are familiar with the area. They have skin in the game, so to speak, because they're from here. And I think that makes a difference. Now you're sending guys from red state governors are sending them to, blue states just to cause trouble. I'm sure some guys are into that because they're all about the trouble, but I would assume most wouldn't be.
You would hope not.
Seems like a stunt, like you said. To that point, we have the victims because the Epstein list is not going away. We have, which Putin will continue to remind you, who's in that book.
Mm-hmm.
But the victims, it's bipartisan. A couple of Congress people got together on both sides of the aisle. They brought in, I think it's at least 10 to 12 victims to tell their story. They're tired of listening to this nonsense, Democratic hoax. This didn't happen. I'm not saying everybody on board the little Lolita was doing bad things, but where there's smoke, there's fire, and it doesn't have to be all of them. My point is that they started today behind closed doors, and tomorrow they're going to have a giant press conference. So the speculation is that Trump will probably try and invade Venezuela. As we've talked about, we've got 4,000 troops. We've got 6 or 7 boats there already, looking to maybe run out Maduro, maybe take his oil. Who knows? Who knows the reason? To me, it's a distraction.
Mm-hmm.
So the press conference tomorrow for the Epstein victims is at 10:30 in the morning. Well, lo and behold, we found out today that there's going to be a flyover at the White House, military flyover at 11 a.m. So,
and what's the cost of that?
Does it matter? Doesn't.
Yeah, those things ain't cheap.
No, and I'm sure those guys have nothing better to do than fly over the White House.
Yeah.
And finally, they asked questions. Everybody saw the video of them dumping stuff out the White House window. Trump said, "There's no way. Those things are locked tighter than you can imagine." Yeah. So at least the question was asked. Okay. They looked at the fakest thing. They looked at some of the fakest things you could possibly look at, and that's the question they asked. Not, "Hey, where the hell you been?
Yeah.
We haven't heard from you. Are you feeling okay?" None of that stuff. "Oh, I feel great. I've never felt better," is what he says. So,
yeah. You gonna go away again?
Can you please?
Would you?
Today? Yeah. So the big announcement today with Trump was the fact that they're moving Space Force from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama will forever be called Rocket City. Really gets your heart pumping. It's so exciting. One of the reasons Trump listed why he wanted to move out of Colorado Springs is because they do mail-in voting, which he hates, even though he did it in Florida. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't like it. It was a big part of his thinking. The ironic part is that Alabama also does mail-in ballots. So the half of the brain that's listening to him, the other half's ignoring the actual reality of the lies he's telling. So it's really a mess. Of course, they have to bring Biden into this. Biden in 2023 decided not to move the Space Force out of Colorado Springs. He thought it'd be too disruptive to the force, which was fairly new. During that time, if you recall, Tommy Tuberville was shooting down military staff to be added because he didn't like their policy on a woman's right to choose. I'm sure you remember that. That went on for months. And now Tuberville in Alabama is getting rewarded with Space Force.
just,
crazy.
the grift continues, man. Just the cycle of corruption.
It's pretty horrible.
It is.
As we close U.S. aid, officially done. Rubio's walked away from it. $4.9 billion was already approved for foreign aid by our Congress, which is how it works. The executive branch, even though KK Caroline feels differently, doesn't get to come in and tell you, no, we're not going to appropriate it for this. It's already been appropriated for these, this foreign aid, and it's just done. It's over. Something Rubio really, really, really supported 2 years ago, now just thrown in the trash. And it's going to affect all of us. You can figure, oh, it's just foreigners, but this is right up there with Voice of America, where that was the soft stick for us to be able to tell our, through Voice of America, you could tell our side of things. It was in, how many different languages was it in? It was in 49 different languages. Now it's in 4 languages. 2 of those languages are Afghani languages, which I don't know. And the other 2 are Mandarin and probably stick with English too. Why not?
Yeah.
But that staff is gone. Used to be a $270 million budget. It costs twice that to paint the wall that people are climbing on just for fun now, south of the border. So it's just kind of crazy to me that we no longer have that voice where adversaries and those that aren't close enough to hear our policies aren't going to hear it from us. They're going to hear it from China. It's going to step into that vacuum. Russia's going to step into that vacuum. And we're pushing all these people together, which only affects all of our national security. I mean, it's super concerning.
Yeah, it is.
So, and this was something that was expanded during the Cold War. It was actually brought up in 1942, the anti-propaganda tool. And now we're the guys spreading the propaganda. I mean, it's like insane.
Oh yeah, it is. And you know where we got that playbook from.
Yes. It never goes out of style. I think there's one on the nightstand of the president, so it's all good. I didn't know he was such a reader.
He looks at the pictures.
Okay, well, I'm sure he's loving those pictures then. I wanted to move on a little bit to the environment. One statistic that I thought was glaring as we're drill baby drilling, the permits aren't being bought because the oil companies don't need it. Barrels of oil are down, fairly inexpensive, but China's solar is expanding so fast that by the 2030s, the country will generate more power from the sun than the amount of electricity the US will consume altogether. So I know that we've heard that China's not really into solar, but they're kicking our butts.
Oh yeah.
We had a $80 million project, or a project, I don't know how many millions of dollars it was, but it was 80% done in Rhode Island that we walked away from. That's wind, because wind sucks, solar sucks, tidal's terrible. I could go on, but
yeah, no, it's just
everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, because you know why? The rest of the world has some common sense, and they're actually just, picking up where we refuse to even go now. And it's pathetic, man. It's just a shame. This is all on, not just on the whims of a decaying, demented, narcissistic toad, but again, it's in bed with the oil and gas industry, and they don't give a fuck about the environment. They don't give a fuck about people that, live in areas that are more polluted with air pollution. They don't care. They really don't.
Well, we took those people off the books right away. We took those laws away from any kind of protection. Those regulations are really harmful to business. So that's the real issue here.
Yeah, we're basically a corporate state.
Yeah. To that end, with all the chaos and everything that you've talked about, has really cut into tourism, which, again, we've talked about this before, but the numbers are just becoming more and more staggering on how much people don't want to come here.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would, for fear of being deported. Maybe you don't have trip insurance and you're kind of screwed. But we are one out of 184 economies where visitor spending is falling. We're number one, baby, out of 184 economies.
Woo.
Turns out to be about $12.5 billion in 2025. That's 22.5% below our peak. And the statistics, just some quickies, 35% are less likely to come to the US. 50% of the Swedes say no thanks. 44% of the Danes are not interested. 40% of the Germans are like, no thanks. I know how to say. And then you have 75% less Canadians coming down. They don't even want to cross the border. They may live on the other side of the border. They're not that interested.
Yeah. Why would you? When you have to deal with maybe you're being detained, maybe you're having your phone seized and searched. Who was it? I saw the other day. It was, yeah, I forget who the guy was, but he was a citizen and he had been detained for like 5 hours. They took his phone and because he had posted something basically saying, Kash Patel's a nut job. Like, oh, what's your problem with Kash Patel? 5 hours of this being detained and interrogated. They gave him his phone back, and now, of course, his phone's not working right.
Just give it the old zapper test.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. Why would you want to come and risk that? Who needs it? There's plenty of other places to go.
Well, and to that point, and we talked about this with some friends that had traveled, but the percent was 73% of Americans expect a negative reception when they're abroad. And rightfully so. I mean, we look like fucking, we just don't look very good. That we allow this makes us all look bad.
And that's not just the cargo pants, the cargo shorts and the fanny pack, but,
For sure.
It's the general behavior.
Yeah. Well, and people just by association, they think you're a red hat and a hater and don't like anything brown or aren't very reasonable. So they don't really want to engage with you. Again, with the tariffs, the tourism's an issue. Obviously, with our civil liberties, we've made the list. But you also have farmers going bankrupt, which now we're going to subsidize them. Even though they voted for this, we're going to save them because they're the backbone of our country. So they say. Kroger corporately is now laying off thousands of workers at the corporate level, not just the guy that's putting the fruit out. So it's climbing up the chain. Jack Daniels, their sales are down 62%, mainly because Canada said, hey, you're a red state and you treat people poorly. We're not interested in your product. That's a problem. We saw it with John Deere. Now you're seeing it with Jack Daniels. We asked for this. So you can hate on everybody because of it, but you kind of brought this upon yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You seemed okay with it when you were winning, so much winning.
So much winning.
But we seem to have stalled out a little bit. And then the blueprint continues. We'll talk a little bit about the CDC, just because, you can no longer get a COVID vaccination without a doctor's script. In some states, you can't do it at all because CVS and Walgreens are just trying to, maintain what the rules are. They keep changing. Nobody wants to be shut down. Obviously, these are businesses, but by the same token, you may not have people to be able to come in and shop anyway because they're sickened.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID's on the rise, but we're not going to do it. We find a new CDC. He's currently the Deputy Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's a good friend of RFK Jr., Jim O'Neill. He's from the former tech investor, former CEO of the Teal Foundation. That name might ring a bell. He's going to be the interim head of the CDC. He was here under Bush as well. He was a speechwriter for the health department. That does not make him a physician or an MD or a PhD for that matter. But he's now a guy with no medical education or experience is now going to head the CDC. And then the talking points from the right are that the CDC was out of control. Fauci was a terrorist. The list goes on. COVID vaccine was so horrible. It just doesn't really make sense. I just wanted to give some numbers on the unvaxxed. 53% more likely to die from COVID, 14 times more likely to get infected by COVID. And just from historic points, before we had vaccines, 500 million people died of smallpox. 300 million people died of measles. Well, Measles is coming back, and we seem to think that that's okay.
Okay.
But it kind of correlates with the whole COVID thing that we don't believe in the science. Mess around and find out, as you like to say.
I don't say mess around.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to revise the vaccination recommendations.
We recommend you don't get a vaccination. In fact, we're going to make sure you can't. Freedom of choice, baby.
Well, you answered all those questions because that's pretty much where we are. The only thing I was going to add was that CVS and Walgreens are about to be bought by a hedge fund.
What could go wrong there?
I think several things could go wrong. We've seen it before. That would be an issue for all of us. You can go in right now in most states and get a COVID shot at Walgreens and CVS, but not all states. And now that's going to change with these guys. So I don't love the direction. Normally, the hedge fund comes in and they suck out anything that's worth anything. Close stores, service plummets, workers lose jobs, and then we go bankrupt.
Yeah, and then they take their money and move on to the next thing. They're like a swarm of locusts. They're just entirely just destructive. That's all they do.
And they do it really well, and we allow that. So be careful. If you need to get vaccinated, do it soon.
Yeah.
Somebody told me that yesterday. So again, not amazing news on that front because we are coming into COVID season with most people having an issue. I wanted to jump. There were a couple other things I want to talk about environmentally wise. We could go on all day about the Pentagon. They hired 600 military lawyers. They're now going to be temporary immigration judges at the direction of Hegseth. This is an expansion of military power into the civilian judicial process. Really concerning. We don't know what happened to the homeless in DC. They did sweep up those parts of the DC. We were told that from some legislators on the right that they were taken out to the country, not like your dog was as a child, but the camping experience is what they told us. They're outdoors anyway. Just
Yeah,
put them all in
right.
the country. Now Trump wants to talk about reopening insane asylums to house these homeless peoples. So now we're going to, because you're down on your luck and maybe lost your job or got sick, God forbid, now you need to go to an asylum. I mean, that doesn't sound.
The only one that needs to be in an asylum is Trump, honestly. But that's what they did in the old Soviet Union. The dissidents and the people that spoke out got either you went to a gulag or you went to a psychiatric facility where they basically just kept you doped up all day long and turned you into a zombie.
Wow, that doesn't sound fun.
Mm-mm.
I'd rather sleep on the street than do that. And lastly, to the homeless issue, we have HUD. Trump wants to do a national audit on all Section 8 housing. If you don't have citizen status, you're gone. The problem with Section 8 is that a lot of times you'll have maybe the kids are citizens, but the parents aren't. All of a sudden, we take the parents away, and what do we do with these kids? It's very short-sighted, but I think he's playing to a group of people that want the cruelty is the whole point. So
yeah. And I mean, again, there's more of us than there are of them. These people, if you're on board with this and you think this is fun and cool and awesome and making America great, you're fucked in the head. You're just a hater. Honestly. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Why would you do that? Would you average, fucking white right-wing nut job retiree boomer sitting at home watching Fox News? Would you like to see your grandchildren left alone while your son and daughter-in-law are hauled away? Is that what you want? You like that?
I would hope not.
I mean, I don't know what's wrong with these people. There's no empathy. There's no any kind of kindness. They're shitty people.
I would agree. We're really getting to the end of this where it's time to kind of have the conversation. You're either in or you're out, and then move on. We can't whitewash everything. To that point, I want to bring this woman in. She is, what is her name anyway? Lindsay Halligan. She's a lawyer, Lindsay Halligan. Is she up there? Oh, let me add her to the stage. This goes back to the Smithsonian, which is something we've been talking about for months, and it's pretty near and dear to us. We talked about this briefly the other day, that they're trying to kind of whitewash what we see from the Smithsonian. The president wants to see more positivity and patriotism. This is his person. She is the White House official that comes out and speaks about this, Lindsay Halligan. 98% of the population shouldn't be forced to adjust their morals to make less than 2% of the population comfortable. So we don't want to talk about certain things.
Where's she getting these numbers from? I mean, and have you noticed that all of his White House aides and attorneys, they all have a certain look, don't they?
And she is an attorney. She was the attorney down in Florida. She was an insurance attorney. So the kicker today was that the U.S. Holocaust Museum is temporarily closing the exhibit that shows how the U.S. turned away Jewish refugees during World War II. So
yeah, let's not discuss that.
We do not want to discuss that anymore. It's not worthy. I hope I didn't lose my thing. But it's things like there's some exhibits at there. Is this it? Oh, like this. You really just can't look away from this. This is all the shoes of the people that lost their lives in these camps. Like, you just can't forget that this happened and be okay with it. They feel like it's anti-American content. Listen, we did turn people away, and then we learned from that to not do it again. But that's a big part of the equation, is learning from your history.
Well, we're going back on that now because we are turning people away. We're not only turning them away, we're throwing them out. People that have been here, that have built their lives and contribute to the economy and, contribute to American life. They're just being cruelly ripped out of here for no reason. So yeah, I mean, cruelty is the point, and it's such double talk. It's just like classic 1984 double talk. Well, that's negative thinking. We can't have that. Yet we're going to go out and do that. We're going to enforce these policies now. We're going to bring them back. Oh, well, the Holocaust wasn't all bad. They got free housing until they threw them in the gas chambers.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, it's just, these people are so fucked up.
To your point, I like to think there's a lot less of them.
I would hope so.
We had a couple with the weekend that just came by. I thought there was a couple of environmental things that I thought were kind of interesting. The amount of fecal on beaches, 2/3 of beaches tested nationwide in 2024 experienced at least one day of a fecal matter contamination that was reaching unsafe levels. The snorkelers in particular, taking on water was a real issue. 84% of Gulf Coast beaches experienced this at least once. 79% of West Coast beaches also have this issue. 54% of East Coast beaches have this. So I don't know if it's the runoff we get from like pig farms, what's going on down south, whether it's just a DeSantis issue with the southern states, depending on the governor you have. I don't know, but it sounds disturbing to me. Part of why we get this fecal runoff is this the severe weather that we have. It overwhelms these sewage systems. We have never seen rain like we saw in Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, even Missouri to a point when we did have rains. But suburban sprawl, now we've asphalt everything. We get rid of wetlands. Like, we're just not very progressive in our thought on how to save this planet and how to live better. As these hurricanes intensify, you're not going to find less of this fecal in your waterways. It can only, increase, obviously. So it's always a concern. We have 450 beaches that were unsafe for swimming 25% of the time. I know that sounds like a weird statistic, but you're talking about almost 500 beaches that 25% of the time are not safe for this reason. That to me is really a high level of concern.
Yeah, that's a good bit of shit. Literally, it really is. And it's just, dude, we're so nearsighted. We're not being, and we had a bill that was passed under Biden to expand infrastructure and update it. But yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to prepare for, climate change. We're just going to build, baby, build. We're going to pave over everything. We're going to build. We're going to drill. It's just, it's crazy, man. It's self-destructive. It's
Really is.
suicidal.
It is, and it's just not fair. I was talking to my neighbor today about they have a grandson who's having a 1 year birthday today, which is fantastic. But when you look at the direction of a lot of these college graduates, that it has to do with either the environment or policy, whether that's on the legal side or just the political side of it, because they're really concerned. Um, you know, this person said, oh, they're probably more concerned than we are. Well, yes, they're also 30 years younger than you. That's 3 decades that they have to live in this situation on their beaches and stuff. So yeah, it's great to see that the youth are concerned about this, because we're not really giving them a lifeline. We're keeping them in that same pattern of, yeah, go to college, educate yourself. If you're, 6 foot tall and Christian and white, you probably have a job in corporate America.
Yeah.
And that little pattern continues, but the planet's dying, and these younger generations have figured that out ahead of us, but they don't have the power yet. Kind of like Gen X never got their turn in government to make policy. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that these voices get louder and louder, and that we start to make some change. The other thing I was going to put up was on heat-related deaths. I mean, this all of a sudden is an issue with the extreme weather that we're having that nobody necessarily wants to talk about. Oh, well, maybe that's just in Arizona, where it's a dry heat. It's 120, but it's a dry heat, so don't
It's
worry
still
too much.
120. Believe me, we've lived there.
Yeah, and here's just a statistic um, of heat-related deaths in the U.S. Um, 1/5 of the lowest income households have no air conditioning at all. 30% rely solely on window units, which is great in the room that you're in.
Hmm.
60% of us are living, households are living paycheck to paycheck. So you're not putting in a central air system that could cost you, I don't know, $18,000. I'm not saying that it has to be that expensive if you already have it in your house and you're replacing the blower type of thing. But if you're adding air conditioning, it is not cheap. Um, and it says a third of the people are foregoing basic necessities such as food and medicine to pay these electric bills. You'll be happy to know, since I complained for a month about my $624 electric bill that I was furious about, my new bill's coming and it's $496.
Jesus.
So thank God we had a bit of a cooler spell, I guess. But those numbers are still astronomical to me. I don't know. Maybe I should cut back on my food, which is never a bad idea, I guess. But my point being, it's outrageously expensive. I don't run
It
my
is.
air conditioner at 60 degrees. If it's at 78, I'm hearing a lot of complaints, but whatever. I've had people ask me if I was from India. Say what you want. I don't care. I like it at a certain temperature. My point being that I'm not keeping my house extremely cool, and it's as expensive as can be. I mean, it's just insane to me.
Well, it is. And I mean, what's that say about a society? I mean, again, the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, where you have people, people that have full-time jobs, that have to make a choice between eating or keeping their house at a livable temperature in the summer. It's sick, man. It's sick. It's sad. It's disgusting, and there's no need for it. There's definitely no need for it. This is all unnecessary. It doesn't have to be this way.
Well, and the World Health Organization, which we don't belong to anymore because they're too woke, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the world part or the health or the organization, but something's not
It's
right.
all of it. We don't like any of it.
But heat is now the deadliest weather phenomenon in the U.S. And globally, killing 500,000 people annually worldwide. The elderly, the sick, the low income are surging right now in that instance. I mean, You could have an elderly person. We had this in St. Louis. They're brick homes. That thing heats up like a brick oven. You don't have AC. You can't afford AC. Nobody's checking on you. Next thing you know, you walk in and grandma's not in a good place. Um, that's not a healthy society. Is all I'm going to say to that.
No, it's not. It's a messed up society. And I saw a study that said prolonged exposure to heat like that actually ages you faster.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's my reason. Using it.
It's too hot.
It's too hot. Look at me. I'm just wrinkling up like a prune. It's hot.
Yeah, it's insane.
Well, I could go on that, but I'm not going to. I see we're up at the 50-minute mark, so I'm going to have to jump to my happy ending.
Let's do it.
Let me start with a real simple one. Where's this guy's having a birthday today? My TikTok anagram, I've seen a lot of Chuck Noll stuff, a lot of Bradshaw stuff of late. Terry's 77 today.
T-Baby.
There's T-Baby with Kruzek and Coach Noll, who here he is at the very beginning. This is where it began. I mean, look at Terry.
A deer in the headlights look. Noel's like, and you're my first round draft pick. You're my franchise quarterback. Great.
You're my guy. Terry didn't feel like he was coddled enough by Noel, but most of his teammates felt that he was coddled plenty.
Yeah. Can you do that for me, Terry?
Really good Steeler. Great in the big games. He was one of the first people coming after the fact with ADHD, but he was hyper-focused during the big games. And listen, the guy's a winner. Relationships can be funny like that, but I think the respect for Noel was always there. And I would say vice versa. If Noel gave two shits, so to speak, I'm not saying he didn't care, but he wasn't going to go to bed concerned about it. That's how he led his life. He told these guys his famous quote, Noel was about getting on with your life's work, which happened to all of them. But looking back, he was a guard and he shuttled in plays for the Browns under Coach Brown. And after about 3 years, he got on with his life's work. He knew this is not forever for him. So he practiced what he preached. And this isn't about Noel. It's just about their relationship. But both men were quality people. Bradshaw's still doing it. He's entertaining. And he deals with depression. We all have our things. He's dealt with cancer, but still a great Steeler, bottom line.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't win 4 Super Bowls in 6 years without him. There's just no way. And interestingly enough, a lot of those guys, bought into what Noel said, and a lot of them became very successful, after their playing days were done, because they took that lesson to heart that, football is a part of your life, but, at some point it's temporary and you're going to have to move on to your life's work. So embrace that. And, he gave his players the space to be individuals. He wasn't like he didn't run it like a corporation. The Steelers of the 70s were a wild bunch, man. You had all kinds of guys going on there. And it's just interesting how they've, taken a lot of his sayings, they took them to heart and they lived it, and they went on to do pretty well, a lot of them.
And Bradshaw did a great job under his tutelage too, whether they saw eye to eye on everything. And it was a difficult era back then. Super Bowl IX, it wasn't the Bradshaw throwing the ball. He had the winning touchdown, which was great, but that was a power team with Franco. But to Noel's credit and Bradshaw, by the time 78 came and they had the rule changes on defense, Noel knew well enough he was going to have his quarterback throwing the ball, and a lot. And he allowed him to do that. And, that changed the game too. I mean, everything was wide open at that point.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it was the Mel Blount rule, which was, named after his Hall of Fame cornerback who, was big, fast, could run, and roughed up receivers. So they changed it. They opened up the game, and the Steelers took advantage of that.
Yeah. So kudos to both those men. The next thing I'm going to pop up is my other happy ending. September 1st, 1971. This was the Pirates lineup. I'm sure, ignore Bob Robertson over here. I'm sure from the names, and I know you're old enough to remember them. What's the significance here, Billy?
This was an all African American, all black Latino lineup.
Yes, it was the first Major League Baseball all minority lineup. Danny Murtaugh was the manager. He had 9 African American and Latino players in this game in particular. Interestingly enough, that 1971 team went on to win the World Series as well. Here's some of the guys. Obviously, Stargell, Clemente, Dave Cash, Oliver, Sanguian. And then this was it today. Al Oliver is taking the cover off this plaque. You got Manny Sanguian sitting there. And I'm assuming that's got to be one of Clemente's kids on the right. I can't say that for sure. But it was really a special thing to commemorate that and just be proud of the fact that was 1971, for God's sake. It just wasn't a thing that was done. But hugely impressive. So go Buccos. That's where I leave that.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I listen. I was 2. I get that, but I can certainly look back with pride and know that it wasn't a color thing at that point. And they did. They had a really by '79. That clubhouse. As Parker said, the boys were bopping.
Yep.
So
that was the family, man. And you had guys. They had different sections of the clubhouse. And they did. That's how they were amongst themselves. You had one section that they dubbed the ghetto, and it was a bunch of a mixed bunch of guys that all got along, played hard for each other, and nobody worried about who was from where, what color you were, where how you were raised. It didn't matter. You were a Pirate. You were part of the team. You were part of the family, and took them to a World Series win. And,
yeah, that was an awesome team.
Hopefully, we'll live to see another one of those. Time's running out. It's been a while, but we'll see. Let's hope so.
Yeah, they need a couple bats. They definitely have some personalities in that lineup now, and they do definitely have amazing pitching. But you got to hit the ball. You can't.
Well, you need a competent GM to actually finish off the roster, because the guy that's been working on his 5-year plan has been terrible.
It's almost like a 6-year plan now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen enough of that. The Pirates are in LA, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it would be nice for them to get back to some of their tradition, and winning was that tradition that I'm more interested in. So we'll see.
Yeah, you'd like to see it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, those are my happy endings. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
I don't know, man. I got nothing today.
That's okay. We're not even skating tonight, so I get it. But,
yeah.
One day at a time, buddy.
That's right.
Well, I appreciate your time today. Nice weekend getting to hang out with you. And
yeah, it was a good weekend.
Sorry to jump back into the fecal pond here, but I think it's important to at least know it before you go snorkeling.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I agree.
All right. Well, good deal. Rose, I'll catch up with you later.
All right, sounds good, buddy.
Have a good rest of your day.